Hey, thanks so much for joining me in this video. It's a funny picture that you see on the screen there that describes the emotional roller coaster of entrepreneurship. And I thought it was a valuable video to create in that if you're like if you're like the rest of us and you're an entrepreneur, you've been on this roller coaster before, or you're currently on it, or you're going to go on it. And I think, as they say, at the cash register of success, all will pay full retail. There's no shortcut. There's no avoiding the discomfort. They also say that success is living outside of your comfort zone. And so, as you can see on this screen, you've got a roller coaster where this entrepreneur is leading his friends and family through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And, they're kind of going along for the ride. Some apparently don't even know if they're on a ride. And the entrepreneur is out in front, leading the pack. When they get their first customer, it's euphoric. And when they're in a situation where they need money, cash flow to run their business, it's not so euphoric, right? And they even get to a point where they're feeling like they want to quit because this is tough. I remember walking blocks to build my real estate business, passing out 200 flyers that I had printed on a color printer at that time. This was well before I knew anything about the internet or internet marketing. And it was rough. I mean, I was getting yelled at by the sellers. When I was passing out flyers and, of course, asking what they wanted to sell. It was awkward for me. As I would walk along the blocks, I would size up houses. I would have that 30 to 60 second conversation in my head, debating whether these people would sell or not, even though I hadn't talked to them yet. What I was really saying was I was scared. I was going through this literal roller coaster. Well, not literal, but emotional, figurative emotional roller coaster inside as I approached each and every house. Of course, when the dogs started barking, or even when the sellers started barking at me, that made this roller coaster ride that much worse. And I wanted to quit several times. When I was starting my real estate business years ago, probably closer, 15, 16 years ago, I passed out 200 flyers and I got 3 phone calls. So that was part of my roller coaster as well, because only three people responded. But one person actually bought from me, and I made my first sale. That led into, thereafter a 6-figure income, and a TV commercial, and all the nice trappings of success that one might think could have. But then, of course, there was another roller coaster, because then I was working 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and managing assistants and managing clients and having deals fall apart the last minute. If you've been in real estate for longer than an hour, you know that when you get close to a deal closing, they can fall apart, and boom, you're on the roller coaster again. And it's tough. And then you've got the buyer, the seller, and the other agent. If you're a realtor, they're calling you. If you're a real estate investor, you've got sellers and buyers calling you, and everybody's freaking out, going, "What's going on?" And you're somewhere in the middle. Of course, you've already cashed the check in your mind before you got it, so the roller coaster ride begins. You're up and down, up and down. And so I remember my first deal, the seller, because in my contract we were trying to find him a tenant buyer. Well, the tenant buyer decided they just wanted to be a tenant and just wanted to rent. And the seller got a crazy, wild idea saying, "Oh, well, gee, my agreement with Russell doesn't say anything about whether what he would be compensated if he brought me just a tenant. So I guess he's not going to get compensated, even though he brought me a tenant buyer that the seller converted into a tenant only." And so naturally we had some uncomfortable conversations, and long story short is I convinced him that I would take legal action if I didn't get compensated for the person I brought. And good news is I got paid, but the bad news is that we had to go through that roller coaster, and it was rough. I mean, I remember losing sleep, was freaked out, was broke at the time, it was a really tough time. And so if you've been there, if you're currently going through it, or you're just in business, just know that that's something that can come soon. The good news is that over time, I've positioned myself in a place where I've got lots of options, and usually the less options you've got, the less skill you have, the less experience you have, the bigger the ups and downs of the roller coaster. The more options you have, the more skill you have, and the more experience you have, the less the ups and downs are. And it really ends up being like at the finish line here where it says, this is fun. That's where I'm at today, and that's where I want to help folks that I work with be at, to where it's fun, it's enjoyable. I really enjoy Mondays. I don't think, oh, today's Sunday evening, Monday's around the corner, I'm going to start going into miserable mode. No, I really enjoy Mondays. I look forward to working because I love what I do. But I had to go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And that doesn't mean that I just still don't have those ups and downs, but they're just not these big mountain hills or mountains. They're small today because I've got more options. I've got more experience. So meaning I've been there, done that. So I'm like, okay, I know how to handle this. I know what my options are here. I'm not too worried about it. I'll make money one way or another, or this will be a good learning lesson. Somehow, some way, it's not these big ups and downs. So also it's not as euphoric as it is when you're first brand new, because you've been there. It's kind of like the guy who's made a touchdown many, many times. He doesn't do all the big jumping jacks and crazy touchdown celebration because he's been there. He's made lots of touchdowns before. He's already been there. He knows what he's doing. He knows he'll be in that touchdown end zone again next game. And so when you're having that success consistently, yes, you may not have the highest of the emotional roller coaster, but you're also not going to have the lowest either. It's going to be a nice steady eddy. It's going to be enjoyable. So anyway, I just wanted to do this video. I wanted to encourage you to just know that at the end of this roller coaster, it is fun. It is enjoyable. If you're going through difficult times in your business, just know it gets better. Don't quit. You also don't need as much money as you think. There are creative ways to come up with funding for your business, whether it's through other folks or what have you. And if you want to learn no money down deals where you don't need any money, I have not put a dime into any of my no money down deals, hence the name, in 9 years. I haven't seen a property buyer or seller in 9 years either. So that's what makes it enjoyable for me. I'm talking to you from my home right now, and that's how I manage my business and my other businesses as well, by using technology and that kind of stuff. You want to learn how to do that so that your business becomes more fun, and that you're putting less and less work into it. You're relying more and more on systems, which is really what's going to make it a business versus just a job that you own. Then I want to encourage you to click the links below or anywhere around on the screen here below this video or to the side, and take a look at what we're doing. We have ways that we're able to get crazy amounts of leads for sellers and buyers for a fraction of what everybody else is paying, and without ever having to leave our house. And if you want to learn how to automate 90% of your business, if you want to be 100% virtual, work from anywhere in the world like I do, then please take a look at what we've got, and let me help you avoid the emotional roller coaster. Thanks. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.